Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Monday, October 9th, back in your life. Today, we are going to discuss the DeGods reset. We're going to discuss Yuga Labs' layoff announcement and their restructuring of priorities. If you listen to Friday's show, you heard Nifty Nick break that rumor long. He loves, if there's a guy that likes breaking rumors, I want to meet someone that likes doing it more than Nick. I'll tell you that. Last but not least, we're going to be joined by LucaNetz, CEO of Pudgy Penguins, in just about 25 minutes, 9:30 a.m., to discuss all things Pudgy Penguins and Walmart. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be a jam. Nick, how you doing, man? You got a little spring in your step, a little bit of swagger this morning. I love it.
I'm doing pretty well. Is my audio coming in properly? Are we good?
That was beautiful audio.
I'm doing good because I didn't go outside into the dangerous territory of New York, which is just completely imploded and is completely devastated out there. I don't even see people walking around outside anymore, because they're so afraid, Pio. They are so afraid to just be outside in the presence because broom-wielding, dangerous, homeless people will attack you just walking in the street. So you got to be careful out there. You gotta be careful. Despite that, had a good weekend. Rode my e-bike. Went did a little bit of shopping. Just had a good weekend. Pretty relaxed, pretty chill. So otherwise, it's pretty good. It's definitely fall at this point in time. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. Got some a little more clarity. I've been journaling. The journaling is key.
Oof, let's go.
You got to journal.
Obama had a journal.
And many people compare me to Barack Obama. So it's actually funny that you say that because people always say, Nick, you remind me of Obama. And I say, oh my gosh. Thank you for the compliment. I hear that all the time.
It's the dancing. I can tell that's why. It's just there's this resemblance when you both dance. You're just like, damn it, man. Did you have the same instructor? I've got to ask Nick as well. What is going on in New York? Like, the weirdest thing about your tweet was how many people agreed with you in the comments that New York was going down the drain. What is going on in the city? Because like my Instagram is just showing Fashion Week. Everyone looks good. Everyone's dressed good. No one's asking for money. No one's getting stabbed. And in your version of New York, I don't know what's going on.
So when I wrote the tweet, literally, I was at lunch with my girlfriend being like, I got an idea here. And I was like, how can you say that this place is hell? You need to take an extreme position to begin with. She was like, what if you just make the title New York City? And I was like, well, that's just not going to do well. My moderate take on New York City is just not going to do well for Twitter.
Well, this is the conversation we had with James Altucher, where he wrote the article. It was New York City is dead and it's not coming back. For what a title! And he was like, "Yeah, well, if I wrote the title of New York, it's doing not so great right now, but in a few years it'll return to where it was before." It's like no one's going to read that article. You have to make something that people are going to click on. Jerry Seinfeld wrote an article in response to James Altucher's article. That's how compelling that title was.
It was true. So people are very passionate about where they live. New York has a lot of opinions on people, or that people have a lot of opinions. I will say the responses that I saw were not in support. There were some that were in support. Oftentimes the position is a political one. So when people say that blue state. This city is not good, but basically what they're saying is just, the liberals are ruining the cities. And there may be some actual truth to that, but the position, it's an opportunity for everyone to express their political viewpoint on the state of the world. I'm also getting a bunch of attacks being like, why don't you leave the state? Go fuck off. That's basically a lot of the responses are that. And it's because a lot of people like you have moved here. Oh, it sounds like you just don't like the neighborhood because it's the neighborhood that's causing the situation. There's a lot of different things. One person responded, it's the diversity. And I wrote one of my favorite things is the diversity. And people are like, ironically, I don't know what she was implying. Yeah. So regardless, all of the stuff that was like in there is just an opportunity for people to express their vitriol toward somebody, basically. And so that's what it is. Incredible, though. It just goes to show, like, you can't give a half-baked position on literally anything. I mean, the last thing that I said, the tweet before that did well was bull run millionaires get a job, which is the same thing. It's basically like taking this position to say rich people go get a job. And people are like, what?
This is another good one, Nick. Wow, 62K. You've been crushing it.
So you need that first sentence is the thing that needs to hit, and it needs to be something like you got to work through the things that are going to trigger people, which is literally what the media does. So it's the exact same, like we're just playing the same game.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago, we were like,
well, how do you like that for the first line, Nick? Ladies and gentlemen, Clemente has a tweet
what was the reach on this one?
Take a look at the views. Only 69,000.
Wow. No, I think 69 is pretty good, actually, considering the fact that the majority of the world doesn't know who Ryan Carson is.
Right.
That's the only issue with this tweet. But it is good.
Yeah, I'm very proud. Beanie responded to it, which I don't think Beanie has ever responded to one of my tweets. So that was a very big W in my mind. And then there was, I was going back and reading through it, and there were a few things I could have cleaned up a little bit in that. It's not, see, YouTube Shorts lets you just go, oh, okay, I can look at these analytics and we'll just take the video down, make a new edit, put it back up, and then bang, fourth draft goes up and it gets 6 million views. You can't really do that on Twitter. People will be like, what the hell are you doing if you just kept reposting stuff? But real quick comment on your responses, Nick. I also saw the comments where it's like the diversity is the problem, things like that. And it's like, wow, just basically saying I'm racist on Twitter. I saw one guy say it's all the Canadians in New York. Let's get those Canadians back to their country.
They were clearly making a joke. Another person responded, it's the scooters, but I see scooters being left everywhere. And I was like, you do?
There's no, they mean Revel scooters, I guess.
Maybe you must be in a particular neighborhood where that's going down. I mean, I own technically a scooter of some sort, and I will say it does feel problematic, and it's dangerous streets out there. It's combative. You're fighting against other scooters in the streets, and you're getting angry at people. It's a situation. Sometimes I need to take a break from riding the e-bike because I see my anger level steadily progress over time.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, people just want something to be mad at. I mean, to be fair, we're in a much better place. Like, at least we weren't victims of a terrorist attack. I mean, that's like way better. So the timing of that tweet, I think, is also like Twitter was just a understandably negative place this weekend because it's everyone taught like literally the feet, and it got out of control. I'm not saying like it was like an emotional thing to observe what was going down, but it was also like I didn't want to see crazy photos and videos of people, but like that's what was kind of in my feed, and it was like it's all the more disturbing. Don't get me wrong, the whole situation is completely disturbing, and it's an awful situation, and yeah, it was sad to observe. And the biggest thing is like, that's not going to like disappear anytime soon. Like, it's not just like, oh, this one event occurred, but I think so now what you just have is more a force of negativity that exists into the feed. And so it's just a difficult thing to exist. And so the more that you lean into that, you're going with the current essentially. But I think there is an opportunity. I have realized recently there is an opportunity if you can there's a way you can bring positivity, but interestingly enough, it leads with negativity. So like
you lead with the negative. Yeah,
exactly. You lead with the negative and you end on the high. So you bring them through the journey. Basically, you got to bring them down and then rise up at the end of the end of the tweet. So I think that's like the key thing that needs to go down there.
Well, speaking of rising up, we got a report on the NFT volumes on Blur, OpenSea, and other areas of the NFT space. Signal, please take it away with the weather report.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. It is Monday, and it is Monday, the 9th of October. That market volume at 6.2 million. Clemente tells me to say, wow. Blur at 3.8, OpenSea at 1.5.
Is that
Onto the
low or
market
high?
leaders. It just says wow, Nick. I'm not sure if that's going to be wow or like wow. Anyway, onto the market leaders. We're looking at the mid caps. The DeGods are down 6%. Pudgy Penguins are down 5%. And Azuki is down 3% on the common names up there. Other movers include Meebits. They're down 9% after having a small little weekend rally. Mockaverse down 10%. And Sproto Gremlins down 10%. So over the weekend, what were the major stories? Well, Yuga Labs announced that they would be laying off a portion of their staff. You heard it from Nick first on Friday, with their CEO citing that that there were too many things. They were doing too many things and they weren't executing well enough on them. And they'll be using more third-party partnerships going forward and going all in on their other side game. Over on SocialFi, it was a brutal weekend as the Avalanche-powered Stars Arena contract was completely drained for $3 million. The platform shared that they would reopen their contract with all of the funds added back after a full security audit. Meanwhile, Frentex volume usage continues to trend downwards, recording $4 million in volume yesterday as more users trade away their 3-3 keys. Over on the PFP side, and Luca faced backlash for his previous work history in marketing and e-commerce, and he joined multiple spaces to address the allegations in full and also shared a thread outlining his professional career history. As a result, Pudgy Penguin's floor dropped to 4.8 ETH that night before fully recovering just less than an hour later. And then lastly, one other big PFP project, DeGods. They have celebrated their 2-year anniversary by announcing the comeback, which will feature 3 key steps. The first step is the reset, and all DeGods art was reset to season 1, and holders can change their PFP art on chain on the website. The second is to unify, which would include the Ute migrating over to Ethereum this week for free. And the last step is clarify, which is a teased, unrevealed announcement. DeGods are down 6% on the news to 3.2 ETH. That is all for the weekend news. It's back to you folks in the studio.
There's so much good juice out of like this. This is a hell of a juicy show. I'm very excited about this. What Clemente has here to start with, which was worthy of commentary, is the Yuga layoffs. Biggest takeaway from this? Well, two major takeaways from this situation. The first is, unlike Moonbirds, which had a ton of high quality employees coming out of it, that I was just like, damn, like all these people are going to be hired within like a week.
We have an interview with one of them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. And then on the flip side, I didn't see anything from any of the people that were laid off from Yuga. Maybe one person showed up in my feed, but I didn't really see a lot of stuff on that. The team didn't seem to be focused on getting those people new jobs. And then and I think the rumor of them laying off 50% feels a little overblown. They didn't say the number. I don't know if we have any data on that, but I don't think it was 50% that was gone. And the number of employees that I was told when I was in Charleston, because I was chatting with some people from the CryptoPunks team, seemed to be in line with the net result of employees post the layoffs. So I don't know exactly how many people were in that layoff. So that's another question that I have. But the other last note on this is, it felt like we need to focus, followed by here are the 16 things that we're focused on, which to me was difficult to parse. What it feels like is that like the only thing that really felt like it was being quote consolidated was 10K TF. But they tried to deliver that information in a way where it didn't piss off the 10K TF people. But like it's a tough
They just
situation.
have so many moving parts. Like I think of it and I look at their ecosystem and I'm like, every time I think of everything they have going on, I forget about something else. Like you think about Meebits, which they just showed other side for, and it just kind of looked like a poor version of Roblox. Like, and that was the comment I had. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, Easy, are there a lot of moving parts in their NFT ecosystem, or are there a lot of moving parts in their business?
Both.
Yes.
Okay.
Like literally just yes to both questions there. Because it's like, think of everything they have going. Dude, I think they have almost 1 million assets across every collection. Like other side's 100K, Vessels is 40K. Quota Maras are another 40K. Quotas, apes, mutants, dogs, Meebits, 10 KTF assets, G tags, the future 10 KTF PFPs. Yeah, and I'm definitely still missing some others. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Rec League, I think, is not technically them, but like there's Yuga assets in there. The list is just so extensive that I'm very curious how they're going to try to consolidate all of it to make it more streamlined. Because like as a new participant or anybody who'd be interested in like, where do I start? That's the really tough thing right now where I'm like, I don't have a good answer for you. You know,
But that's all the NFT ecosystem you're talking about. What about the actual business? Everyone knows that their NFT ecosystem is super duper complicated, but ultimately it actually doesn't really have a material impact on their business if they are going to go and make a successful video game organization. They seem to be really interested in every single little game they put out there. Like, here's another 60,000 NFTs that go with it. That doesn't necessarily help.
Well, I was just going to say too, like, I think you just answered it, is their statement also kind of said like, yeah, we're going to the gaming side of this. Like, that's our focus. We're going to go into gaming. And that I think was like not a terribly big surprise for many, but like now they've shared the clarity publicly. Like, we are going all in on gaming.
But there was some statement as to like support of the community and like Bored Ape Yacht Club. And I don't understand, like, are they saying they're just like aborting the community set? If they're aborting the community.
No, yeah, quite the opposite. Supporting the brands that come out of the community. But I mean, sorry, easy. But I thought it was crystal clear. This is a gaming company. When you hire somebody from Activision to become the CEO, like, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. I'm really saying that as that. Up until that statement, I thought Yuga was a gaming company, and I thought Other Side was the all in. So I found it really, like, I found the statement a little bit sort of surprising, as if my understanding is Yuga is gaming. You've gone all in on gaming because you hired that CEO with that background.
Yeah, you hired Dan
and say, yeah, but then to come out and say that they've been doing all these things and the business strategy is not focused enough, I found that quite surprising, because I thought on the outside all resources were going into Other Side.
But think about it. They had the clubhouse that was supposed to come out for Bored Apes, the physical clubhouse. There's been zero updates on that. That was supposed to come out, I believe, Q3 in Miami. Now it seems like it may be an Other Side. So it seems like basically they're saying everything in our roadmap, we're now shifting entirely to Other Side, development, rollout, release. So like that to me was the thing that had a lot of people unsure. And the 10 KTF comments were the ones that I think surprised the most people, because that was where people were like, oh, this is going to be Yuga's next PFP. They acquired it, the storytelling aspect, all those things. Yet we've seen the games now include storytelling from some of the cutscenes from Other Side, like pretrial beta, early access stuff. And they just did another play test for Meebits holders this past weekend. So to me, I'm like, it seems like their only focus now is going to be Other Side. But to me, that's also interesting, because aren't they outsourcing the development work for it, which they hired an original company and then hired a competitor to that original company to now finish what they've started?
So a number of things. One, the biggest takeaway from this is the only thing that's going on associated with this, it sounds like, is 10 KTF and Meebits are part of Other Side. That's literally the entire, like, that's the synopsis of the announcement. Nothing else has changed. And they've laid some people off. So, but my understanding of what Yuga is has not like fundamentally adjusted. One thing that I did hear as part of that was that, anyways, yeah, that's my main takeaway, is like, there's not much of anything announced in this other than we have layoffs and we're going to continue to clarify in clarifying statements. Check out this clarification that's not completely clarifying. So like, that's kind of my takeaway with that thing. The Bunny, is Bunny here?
Yeah, Bunny's here.
What is your take on this situation?
I think it's overblown because it's Yuga, right? Like, PO last week was bullish on Proof doing the same exact thing. But since it's Yuga, we're just bearish on it, right?
Who's we? I literally wrote a tweet that got like over 50,000 impressions about why it was good that Yuga Labs was laying people off. And people were like, people are unemployed now. I'm like, dude, I've been around the block. You know how many layoffs I've witnessed? The people that, I mean, I'm not even going to, people are going to get mad if I say anything. Anyway, I'll just stop, but I'll throw it back to Bunny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I get where some people are coming from with the community aspect, but I think like our community's just been quiet because the floor has gone down like the most in terms of USD, right? But if you look at like the Made by Apes thing, or the Mutant Fest, I don't know. They still do a bunch. We got like I know Garga said it in a reply to somebody that we got the Basie 3D models coming soon for the other side. I'm not sure how much that moves the needle, but I don't know, man. It is what it is.
Moves the needle on what? On the price of the NFTs or on the business?
Not the price, just like community sentiment, I guess. Like, I don't think that's going to jack people up.
But what could possibly jack people up right now?
Second ApeCoin airdrop.
yeah, exactly. That would jack people up. Sure, free money flying from the sky. Anything else? Is it besides just literally?
No, that's really it.
Besides plowing money into people's bank account, what's going to get someone excited? Anyway, look, we'll see what happens with Yuga Labs. It would be nice to see some deep clarity of vision. I mean, I didn't even think of that in real life Clubhouse thing that Easy brought up. Are they even going to still do that? Who would go to that is the thing, is that the in real life stuff has not been proven as something that people want to participate in. Most of the people that I know that own NFTs are like married. They have children. They can't just go and fly to Miami on a whim to go to a clubhouse. And it's unclear whether people even have a really strong demand for physical stuff. Obviously, there's been some examples recently. Our guest today, LucaNetz, with the Walmart installation, that's an example where physical stuff is being accepted and celebrated, which we hadn't really seen before. But yeah, anyway, we'll see what happens with Yuga Labs. Layoffs are normal. This is the one organization in NFTs that's closest to an actual, like, established tech company. When you look at where the employees of theirs come from, like, literally, humor me, go to the Yuga Labs LinkedIn page and just start cranking out, like, pull up profile after profile and look at where the people worked before. There isn't really another organization in NFTs that's like that, including Proof. Although Proof probably gets pretty close or relatively close, but it really is not the same. Like, Yuga Labs is objectively competing for candidates when they were hiring with organizations like Roblox, like Databricks, like the kind of bubbling under tech companies that are successful but aren't public yet. Well, even though Roblox is obviously public. Nick, what's going on?
I want to discuss DeGods.
Let's go.
The DeGods situation. Well, I mean, I don't know how long they can follow this playbook. I'm going to be honest. Like, this is, I was kind of surprised to see this announcement of not an announcement. Now you can change the metadata. I will say they rolled out a feature like that so you can switch between the seasons for your DeGods. I don't know. I don't think that works with Utes, but
no, Utes don't have an additional art. The thing that I'd be like upset with as a holder in this case, and I'm not, would be if I paid Dust for the upgraded art and now they just give it to you all to just like change the metadata. Like, previously you had to use Dust to upgrade your art into the new seasons, both DeGods and season 3. And now it seems like you can just change them. So like,
yeah, but that gave you access to the points parlor, right?
Yeah, but now if you just waited, do you get access to the points parlor?
Yeah, well, you didn't have a chance to win the Tesla.
Has the Tesla been delivered yet?
Well, so. Someone won it.
Someone won it.
Yeah.
So you had a chance to win a Tesla. That's what you got as a result of it. I don't know, man. It's hard to run the same playbook. Like, it's when you come back, you got to you at least got to be like, here's a different strategy that we're going with. In my opinion, like, you're allowed. I think if you're running a startup, you're allowed to mess up, and I think that's something that should be tolerated and frankly encouraged.
Yeah. There's that quote, Nick, the quote where it was like, just do it, like, just do stuff, and if it messes up, okay, move on. It was,
sorry, what's the quote? Just do it. Nike.
No, all right, jackass. There was. I'm gonna find the quote. It's not just do it. I summed it up. Anyway, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead. You gotta be on the nose with Nick, ladies and gentlemen.
Is Nike a startup?
Yeah, well, okay. I'm leaving.
There's that famous startup quote. Just do it.
These guys are jackasses. All right, come to some
fail
flash.
Theo, do you mean
fast is
fail
one-
fast?
Yeah,
No.
fail fast is one thing.
Move on from my contribution. Go ahead, Nick.
Perfection is the enemy of good.
No, you're just Googling startup quotes
No,
about failure.
no, that came straight from my head. In case you're wondering, but that. Okay, we'll think through the other
You
ones.
just can't remember it, dude. All right,
Move
go ahead.
fast and break things.
No, it's a longer quote. I think it was from Brian Armstrong, maybe. It was Brian Armstrong or someone else. Go ahead.
Brian Armstrong, the famous creator of Just Do It. So, in terms of, I would like to stick on this for a bit, which is P.O.'s quote. This is the top story. But in all seriousness, what happened was basically Luca came out with this video, anticipatory video. The price pumped. So it actually hasn't dumped. We reported that the price of DeGods is down. It's down from the pump, which was the anticipatory pump that something big was coming. And now it came down because literally there's the hardest part is they actually did roll out a product like that. That's the thing. But the way it's being presented is something that's game changing. And there's hype and anticipation that drives into it. I think there's a shift towards, involving the community in the process. And that's something I've been really thinking about over the weekend, especially on our own front, is just like, if they're viewed as like some form of stakeholder in what you're doing, then you got to involve them and you got to keep them in the loop and probably give them an early look at what's coming. The reality is it misses the hype pump and dump as a result. Whereas like Apple, for example, does go through the hype cycle where there's an anticipated announcement coming up. The problem is there's a bunch of rumors and leaks, which end up now showing literally everything that you can expect.
And usually the announcement is usually a pretty actual big deal, right? Like think about the Facebook Ray-Ban glasses announcement. That's actually a big deal. iPhone, for example, had their hyped up announcement recently and the memes were it's just the same phone again. That was an example of one that fell flat.
Yeah, but what I'm saying in their case, you already knew what was coming because it was already leaked weeks in advance for all their announcements. So you can't even get it out the door. And in NFT land, that information is often traded on. So if you know something's coming, the price usually pumps. You miss that pump, and then the information gets released, and then it pulls back afterwards. So you can't really make money on that. So I don't know. I'm interested in ultimately DeGods is going to have to roll out some additional products. The transition to ETH was announced months ago. But for youths, I'm curious to see how they evolve it. I mean, clearly, I do think that genuinely Frank is wants to make this succeed. He's putting a lot of effort, brain power, stress, and everything else into making this project a success. I think it's just difficult to have those sorts of announcements. Conversely, you could argue that the Pudgy side of things, that those announcements, there still is I am curious to see, what are the things that really move the needle here. They're selling $5 to $10 toys essentially. And I don't know, I am curious to see how that pushes things forward. That said, they're at least releasing things that show that a business is being built and activity is happening. And I think in the case of Yuga, for example, that's what it's been difficult. They even call that out. They say, hey, we haven't been communicative about the updates that are happening. The reality is the NFT space is incredibly difficult to operate in because people it's worse than shareholders in a business. You're even in stocks, it's once a quarter. Yep. And actually,
and by the time you get to that point, you have a business. If you're publicly traded, there's a business there.
Yeah, but Eric Ries, who created the Lean Startup, basically, and has the book on it, he created another stock exchange called Long-Term Stock Exchange, I think, LTSE, something like that. And basically, what the idea was that you don't need to write quarterly reports. Instead, it's annual or something like that. the whole foundation of it is that the market itself is driven by this quarterly cycle, and this quarterly cycle is destroying society. Is like because you need to release updates and all sorts of things that are a result of it. In the NFT space, it's even more demanding. Essentially, you're supposed to do that on a weekly basis of like, here's an update on what's going on. Here are the changes that are occurring, and or some sort of like anticipatory thing that's taking place. I think there is a way to adjust it, but like, or to adapt to that format. But this whole market is in the process of figuring out how that goes down.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other thing is, and I've been talking about this a lot, but I just don't think it's something you can ignore, is there is this whole significant percentage of the space that's like, NFTs aren't a business. Someone responded to my Yuga Layoffs thing and it said Yuga is not a business. I was like, I just don't even know where to go with you. Like, there's just nowhere to go. It's a very, it's Earth is flat. It's literally Earth is flat. It's like, or birds aren't real. It's very hard to move on from that. What Luca's done so well, which I've talked about, is that he's building a business, and the messaging that goes along with it is, not only is it okay for me to build a business, but it's actually great, not only for the Pudgy Penguins brand, but for you to be a part of us building this business. So it's not like Frank is coming out, for example, if you want to bring up DeGods, he's not coming out and saying, we're an events business. That's not what he's saying. He's not coming out being like, we're a digital collectibles business. I believe the last quote was like, it's the friendship company, which, I mean, it's a good line, but I don't know if friendship is a vertical within business. Anyway,
well, friendship isn't even a real thing in business in the NFT space, so that's something that I find interesting here. There's very few partnerships with people collaborating. Yeah, I don't like, for example, what time is Luca supposed to come on the show? He's on another stage right now. So shout out to Luca, who's a two-faced motherfucker. Where are you at, dude? Where are you at, Luca? Are you gonna show up? Are you gonna bail?
I think he's gonna show up. He's just probably gonna be late because he's occupied. Signal, what were you gonna say?
No, I'm gonna say, like, on the friendship side, he's obviously saying it's a community business. The only thing I struggle with is, like, if you're already in the ecosystem and you've like ridden DeGods at Utes for the last 2 years or so, you understand that side of it because you're in it. So you get the friendship, you get the community, and probably been in Discord for ages. But if you're an outsider, just seeing the moves they're making at the moment, I find it difficult to find a compelling reason to join that friendship group when I haven't experienced anything as an outsider that would be like, yeah, I'm excited to join that. And I think that's what's missing right now, is to have a compelling reason for new people to want to join that community. Because on the art side, we understand there's been updates and there's been the points parlor, but for me, that's not a reason I would buy, and I would go and spend, $6-7 grand on a DeGod or an ETH on a Ute. And so I think, like Frank, that that's kind of what the team need to find in this last quarter, is that reason for new people wanting to come in and to be like, get excited, be like, okay, that's why I want to be in this friendship business or this friendship project going forward into next year as well.
Yeah, I mean, and the elephant in the room that I think no one's brought up is the only reason people buy NFTs is because they think the price is going to go up, right? And so, like, it's not like anybody actually wants to go spend $5 grand for friends. They're spending $5 grand because they're like, maybe I'll be able to sell this for 7,500 in the future, right? Before it was like, maybe there'll be an airdrop that'll give money. I mean, Bunny said it when I said, what could possibly make the Yuga Labs audience excited? And he said a second ApeCoin airdrop, and that basically sums it all up. What else could possibly make them excited? I'm not going to lie, though, the Dookie Dash, if we're talking about this, Dookie Dash attracting Mongrel was pretty damn good. And then having a $1.1 million sale, or however much that sale was for that one-of-one key after Mongrel won, that was definitely some really good stuff. I just noticed that Clemente put in, he wanted to get the thoughts from Bunny on Yuga, so that's good stuff. So real quick, we have a quick prediction regarding Utes. Utes are bridging to Ethereum this week. Their floor is currently at 0.8 ETH. Like, easy from a price action perspective, at 0.8 ETH, bridging to Ethereum from Polygon. What do you think? Do you think the price goes up? Do you think the price goes down?
Price goes down.
Really?
Price goes down. You're exposed to blur farmers. It's GG's in the chat. It's a good game over here on this side. I think we're going to end up seeing him at 0.6. If they get the points parlor for them, then maybe you'll get some excitement that pulls into it. They're saying that they're going to be doing everything but revamping the whole ecosystem. So what that actually means is Bitcoin DeGods, Dust, Utes, regular DeGods. That's my concern is now it's like we just saw Yuga spread themselves too thin. I'm a little bit nervous here what's actually going to happen following that because now potentially you may spread yourselves too thin on this front, which obviously causes some issues. The hope is been like what's going to happen next? Are they going to launch a redo of the art for Utes? Because I think that would actually draw more FUD. People really do like the art, but they're just upset that nothing's actually happened besides 2 bridges across chains. Like they went to Polygon and didn't do anything on Polygon besides lack liquidity. I think they would have had significantly more liquidity on the ETH side of things, or even if they went back to Solana, where you saw a ton of liquidity on those when they were there. So that's kind of my concern. And those were a lot of the negative sentiment from people was that there was no liquidity. People were undercutting themselves just to try to exit at times because of how difficult it was for people to make those trades coming from other blockchains. So yeah, to me, I think these could see 0.6, 0.65 area on the day of the bridge, just because they're going to become subject to blur farmers who are still farming points. And I think day one, maybe short-term pump on the initial move over there into a sell-off as people capitalize on the farming aspects.
I mean, the DeGods, the blur farming thing is something I hadn't even thought of, that as soon as you bridge to Ethereum, you're exposed to that. Bitcoin DeGods, also hadn't thought about that in a while. Man, if you look back at the beginning of this year when there was so much hype around Ordinals, there was a 3, 4, 5 week period where any Twitter space you did, if it had Bitcoin Ordinals in the title, it was getting like 1,100, 1,200 live listeners at a time, concurrently. And Yuga Labs made $9 million of revenue that they didn't expect from 12-fold, right? Can't say that you expected to go and sell $9 million of NFTs on Bitcoin before Ordinals dropped, right? And I'd imagine that Bitcoin DeGods was a pretty significant revenue event for Frank and DeGods.
It was a few $1 million too. And there was also some FUD on that because those were supposed to be burnt assets and they brought them back. So like there was definitely some conversation to be had on pros and cons of it. Was it a good move? Was it a bad move? Obviously, the people who owned them were happy because they got them for 0.33, saw highs of over 1 Bitcoin. So like that alone was a win for the people that minted them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the Utes migration aspect. It's a free bridge, which people are obviously excited about. I'm very curious to watch how the trading ensues on them.
Yeah, I mean, they know how to get attention. Bunny, you have your hand raised. What's going on?
Think about all the idiots who dressed up like wizards in their shower and still have no ordinal to show for it.
Very funny, Bunny. Well, they'll probably I think they're going to get an ordinal soon. I think Udi is.
Oh yeah, it's coming any day.
Nick, are you upset that you didn't do the wizard shower for Taproot Wizards?
Not at all, man. I'm not paying attention to Taproot. There are people that are very excited about it, but like, what are they going to launch in like 2028? They've been like discussing this since like when did that go down? That was last year, right?
No,
well, it's all of this year.
Yeah, it started. I want to say February was Quest 1. They've had multiple quests for it, but that's since like that's the tough part is this market moves so quickly that like they could have easily capitalized on it and launched
when
them.
Ordinals were a thing. I mean, dude, literally, it's like a scribble drawing of a wizard. Just fucking put out scribble drawings of a wizard. What's that number one? The PFP on OMB. Yeah, dude, it's like, what the fuck is that? It's literally just a bunch of scribbles. They're the face of Bitcoin at this point, is what I would call them. So, yeah, we'll see what the deal with that is. But yeah,
these things are so funny. It all stems from a Reddit meme too. That's the funniest part is that like the Bitcoin wizards or whatever they're called now, Taproot Wizards, stems from an old Reddit meme that they just pulled and are now creating trades for. So they had all the hype. They had the perfect opportunity to really cook with them. And I think they will still cook just because it's Udi and he's kind of the face of that Bitcoin side of things, especially from the BRC and Ordinals stuff. But I do have some concerns about the time to go live and what it's been like.
Well, we'll see. I do think that it's going to make waves when it comes out, but it'll be hard to, like OMB, I think was like a $20 million revenue situation or something like that. And I cannot imagine that that is what's going to happen just given the lack of liquidity on Bitcoin. It's going to take time for Ordinals or any sort of NFT on Bitcoin situation to really manifest. Although, fun fact, I did see someone post an article. It was a post from Hal Finney, which many people believe is either Satoshi Nakamoto or was one of the, the few individuals that make up the Satoshi Nakamoto account, character, whatever. And in 1993, he predicted what was effectively a Bitcoin, digital collectibles like Bitcoin, NFT type of situation. Yeah. So, I mean, that's I'm just saying it's going to be, we got an ordinal maxi biz in the audience here saying Bitcoin dominance. Nick, what's going on?
Well, we had a show plan that involved Luca, but this two-faced asshole doesn't even want to come on the show. So, like at this point, I'm literally just going to be subtweeting him with the absolute scam tweets that man deserves at this point. So, Luca, shout out to you, dude. You were a real one, but now you fake punk unless you show up in the next 5 minutes, in which I'll still say the exact same thing, but just let you know that you show up 15 minutes late to your promised meeting. Maybe I just go on that stage would be like a better approach at this point. Actually,
you're gonna go?
What? Hold on 1 sec. Let's just give me a second. I'm going to tune in to that show and then we're going to stream that directly into this show is what's about to go on. So I'd like to request to go on. What's the name of, give me one moment.
Coffee with Captain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave this show. I'm going to stop co-hosting, switch to listening. I'm gone out of that space. Your boy's about to go on Coffee with Captain. And we're going to stream that in here.
Well, first of all, I think we're gonna have to get sign off from them to broadcast their show on our YouTube. I mean, I'm joking. I think they'll be okay with it. I don't think.
Well, let's see if I get approved as the speaker. I'm in there right now, so we'll see what happens. I'll give you an update if that actually goes down.
I do feel like you're probably going to be let on stage. I think that it's not an everyday thing where you request to speak on that show. Miguel Ribeiro, frequent YouTube commenter, said that you're channeling your inner Jerry Springer today. So very fun stuff.
No, I'm channeling my own. I'm allowing my internal resentments to. Oh, I'm a speaker.
Told you. Do you need to? Are you gonna plug in or?
Yeah.
Okay. So should I unplug?
No. You can stay in. It's gonna stream through you. It's gonna work out.
Oh, beautiful.
He'll be talking, and it's gonna sound like 6 more voices. I can't wait.
It said I'm a speaker, but
you got to turn phone audio up on your broadcaster.
No, I understand. I'm not plugged in yet, so you got to give me
this
a
is
minute.
horse shit, Nick. You're fumbling the bag here, man.
Am I gonna mute something? Or
Dude, you're totally good to go. Nothing needs to change.
Beautiful.
It's not letting me on stage though.
Bunny, you getting a kick out of this?
Dude, Nick is in rare form today. I love this version. This is my favorite version of Nick.
I can't, dude. I'm fucking rugged. Ah!
Ladies and gentlemen, if you know Nick, you know he really wants to create this situation right now. This is like he wants to sink his teeth into this content related opportunity. And quite frankly, I want him to as well. This borderline feels like the Cool Cat space that happened about 1.5 years ago. One of our finest content moments, if you ask me. It was definitely one of the most viral within our NFT space. A lot of heavy hitters figured out who we were after that. I'd say the next most viral moment was the Bahamas, which Nick wishes that he actually had just been in the Bahamas for another 2 weeks, which I think he's right about. In hindsight, 2020, Nick's on stage. It seems. Forgive us for the dead air, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go.
Unusual situation for us, but here we go.
Is it tuned in?
I wanted to see it, and I hope that and I try to say this in a way that doesn't come off the wrong way, but I hope if you thought that I was a malevolent actor, that I would have some brain power to hide it.
Commentary
I'm just
here.
not in the business of hiding things. I don't
know
do
he's
things that I need to
malevolent.
hide.
He didn't come
Right?
on the show.
Even with the course, I could have totally scraped that before Pudgy. I could have, like, I'm going to fall on my sword, dude, and I'm going to move forward. And at the end of the day, none of this stuff is again, I thought was hidden information. I mean, we had Emlo on the stage, and Emlo asked me 3 months ago about cookies and kicks on a stage with 400 people. So, like, again, a lot of this stuff is, it is what it is, and I guess it's packaged in a way to trigger people's emotional response. And if you didn't like me before, then I guess you're not going to like me now, and I have to move on from that.
I'm triggered emotionally.
But I really hope
Luca comes in, says he's going to
that
show
you guys
up,
can see the writing in
doesn't
between
show
the
up.
lines, and you can see that
War
if I
is
was
about to
what
go
I
down
think this
in
person
NFT
says I
land.
was,
The drum beats of
I mean,
war
Pudgy
have
would be in the
arrived.
gutter. I just don't know how you can assume
We will rise
or
up
paint this weird picture
and become the
of me when
faces
you
of
kind of just look at the
Web3
tangible
to
facts
bring
that
down
everybody
the
in the space has
scammers.
experienced.
The
I mean,
scammers
if you
that are
just came in
selling
here 2 days ago,
discount
then
toys in
maybe you can have
Walmart.
some sort of preconceived notion. But at the end of the day, if you've been around for the last 20 months, I mean,
Luca,
why would I have a building in public series?
He doesn't
where I
even know what's
record everything
coming.
we're doing every 2 weeks? Why would I get on 100+ podcasts?
why would he keep
why would
defending
I just
himself if he's not a
you know, why
scammer?
would I talk about this stuff?
Why
Nick
would I
Why
have
would it be
Normandy.
so publicly available and so publicly ready?
I'm burning
Our
the
highest
bridge.
interview of all time talks about
It's what happens in war, baby.
70% of these things. And so I don't know. I don't know what to say, but I just wanted to get off my piece. I have to go into another space. Unfortunately, I'm late to it.
No, you're in the space right now, Luca. Welcome.
Can we zoom out on that for 1 sec, Steve? Just can I just add one thing that Luca's been saying here, man? And I just
Did they hear that?
So prevalent.
I unmuted.
And thanks for having me up as always, guys. I think it's been a really balanced space. But we talk about building in public. Unfortunately, 99.9% of people in this space who are judge, jury, and basically executioner don't actually know what it takes to build in this space. And I just want to talk about marketing, man.
It makes you
it's
sound
a
smarter, I will
machine,
say,
bro.
if you have a British
And
accent.
the trends of marketing move so quick and it's so competitive, and new
Luca
tactics
should have
are
come
being
on our
made,
stage because
like,
the
minute
bridge
by
has
minute.
been burned and
Like,
exploded.
everybody does the same tactics. I've been working for the biggest
You're going to have
brands in
to
the world.
swim
We go
across
down
the
to our own
river
startups.
and you're going to
We've
come
done
out
millions of
soggy.
dollars on Black Friday sales. These are the playbooks that everybody uses.
And it's
man.
the East River
So
in New
if you're gonna,
York, and
like,
God
have a
knows
judgment
with
on
an
it, at least
imploding
have
city,
some
that shit is
understanding how
dirty.
it's done. And then this is a moral
Ladies and
mindset,
gentlemen,
man.
our
Like,
YouTube
it's pretty
commenters
clear
are
to say
declaring
that if
us
Luca
as
wanted
the
to
or
run,
Nick
he
as the
wouldn't
captain
spend
now
hours
of
his
this.
life playing himself on stage. We really know the ruggers have already took the money and run. So please just
Mr.
educate
Yellow is
yourself on what
wetting
these
himself.
machines
You should see a
actually look
doctor
like
about
before
that.
you come in with, you know, big opinions.
I think
Sorry,
you're over
bro, I just
40,
had to
Mr.
throw that
Yellow.
in.
I've
No,
talked to
I
you
think
before.
it's fair. I want to ask Luca
Get your
one more question
prostate
if he
checked.
has to, if to run, then I want to give it to Nick.
Well,
for a
I
second
think
as well.
Nick is a space that I'm supposed to be in. So I think they migrated over in this direction. I don't know if I'm wrong or right. Nick,
You are correct. We have a merged space right now. Where did you go, bro? You're two-facing us as you're defending yourself. This is a dangerous situation at the moment.
The biggest rug. He rugged Nick and Tio. It's not great, Luca. No, but honestly, question I want to ask, and then I want to like throw Nick's way to ask questions, and we'll keep going through, and then we'll go Joey Balls after that. I do want to ask Luca, like, is this something? Because like one of the things people ask is something like this comes out, and one of the first things you do is like Web3 is a very tricky spot publicly right now from a perception standpoint, and so you have a lot of big, high-profile deals. Walmart, Smiths, etc. Is this something that you are going to have to address with them? Is it something you are going to address with them? Because it's something that, you know, I'm assuming you would want to get to them before they find it on their own, even if all this stuff is out there in the past. Is this a conversation you're going to have?
Hard-hitting
with some of your big
questions.
This is a reframing of something that it was publicly available and publicly spoken about many, many times. And we see this all the time, and what we call this is fake news. Now, it's not fake in the sense that it didn't happen.
Yo, he doesn't have a PR team. I'm
reframing of
just
a
saying
narrative
straight up. He's
to go and tell a narrative
showing
that
his
is
youthfulness.
disingenuous and trying to bring somebody down.
He's demonstrated the
And
lack
so
of a PR team.
ultimately, I'm going to put my piece in writing, which I think is important. There needs to be a source of truth, and there needs to be a North Star to kind of compare it to the, you know, you have one piece of writing and you have another, and you can decide, you know, which one you agree with. At the end of the day, what am I going to do? That's the best that I can do. The best I can do is show up.
How's this for a Monday morning, ladies
as
and
quickly
gentlemen?
as I can, and answer as many questions as they come. and put my
Is this
North
what you
Star
do on a
and
Monday
my
morning?
justification in writing.
Every Monday.
I think when you look at partners that are partnered with some of these other brands,
This could get
this
dangerous.
happens, I
I'm gonna
think,
be
more
honest.
in the
Like I
real
may burn
world
a
than we
lot of
give it credit
bridges in
for.
this process. I'm a little nervous.
And the one thing that I specifically have some empathy for throughout this whole situation,
I don't even know what's about to come
I
out of
never
my
thought
mouth.
about it because I've never been in a situation like this. But how many celebrities
I'm
and celebrity
scared on
brands
behalf
get hit
of
with some
me.
weird headline on a weekly or
Okay.
monthly basis, and they have to deal with things
What
like
Nick's
this?
about
I guess
to show
this is
up.
just my, I know as we get more successful, I know as I grow my personal brand, as Pudgy Penguins continue to succeed and strive and do amazing things in this industry, that this stuff will continue to get brought up. But at the end of the day, it's easy to reframe something and to position it in a way that makes you look like a champion for donations to go and do more things like this. But in reality, there's a truth to the story and the way that was framed. And there's so many ways to debunk it, and
I
so
actually
many
know
people
exactly
to
what
debunk
I want
it,
to say.
that eventually I'm just going to let those people kind of lead that charge. Because at the end of the day, you're going to take my word for it and look on the writing on the wall and see the truth and see the facts for what they are, or you're
what's
not.
going down here.
All I can do is my best to
We're just
explain it.
straight
But I'm
stealing their
personally not
content.
worried about that. I think first and foremost, I need to get a source of truth in
I
writing.
want to apologize to Captain
and if it
and
comes up,
Steve here.
I'll let them
It is
know. and
stolen at this point in time.
I don't think I'm going to go out of my way and be like, hey, look at this
But your space is growing.
unbelievable, disingenuous hit piece that was made about me. Reframing things and taking things completely out of context and looking at it so granularly.
Wow. He's still
by
standing
the
by
way,
that. Why
does this
not
bother
say
you?
I made some mistakes?
I'm not going to go out of my way to necessarily do that. But I'm gonna write my piece, and maybe I'll share that around. At the end of the day, I had to talk to a few people already, and some of it has already been addressed with some of these partners. But people who know me and know the businesses that I've ran, the businesses that I've started, know my integrity and know my intentions. I mean, it's been on display for the last 20
Here's
months.
what I'll do. I'll donate the $5 of ad revenue that we generate from
this
show to them.
really?
It's less than that, but I'll
there's
give
a lot
him
of people you
$5.
I'll
could
give
have
him
come
10.
after in the space. Why are you coming after the person that for the last 20 months has done nothing but try to lead the charge on what it is to build a high integrity NFT project, one that gives to its community and doesn't take, one that tries to reinvent this wheel of easy money and
to
digital
make the
products,
transformation from
trying to make a real brand and a real emotional
innovator
attachment behind that brand.
That's
and
the thing
behind
that you're
character.
looking for.
I mean, I don't know. Me of all people, I think
My
it's
hand's
strange,
raised.
but
I just want people to
it is what it
know
is.
my
We are
hand is
conscious.
raised.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's important because to your point, your personal brand is very intrinsically tied to the brand
He's
of
a
Pudgy
badass.
Penguins for a certain audience. It's not for my kids. Like my kids, no offense, my 9-year-old and 11-year-old have no idea who LucaNetz is, but they know that they like Pudgy World. They know they like toys. So it's like
Nobody does.
A group of people that are here in a room of 506 people.
That's
they do
all
care
this.
about that. So I think it's worth noting.
Web3 space
I want
at
to let
this
Nick
point.
get in here. Nick, go ahead. Appreciate you letting us borrow your guest and jumping up the stage. GM Nick.
I appreciate you letting us stream you. We're gonna have to pay you like the $10,
$5,
which is more than we're making off of this space, by the way, for letting us collab here. So, and this was purely spontaneous because Luca was supposed to come on to our space. Luca, you keep falling for the bait, man. What's going on?
I just saw it. I woke up this morning and I saw this space was live, and I was like, I gotta hop in here.
You need a communications advisor to help you out with this process, to say rule number 1, don't fall for the bait. They're gonna get you, dude.
It's Nick. It's those clickbait titles we got from you guys. Like this is you taught us.
Yo, and
Exactly.
I respect on that. Respect on that. I appreciate it. You guys, steal from the best. And now and now actually we're stealing from you because we're streaming your stuff on our space. This is the collab of collabs. So shout out to y'all. Appreciate it. But I am genuinely curious. It's not like we walked into a space. One, I don't want to make it about me, so I'm just going to ask the question once, and then I actually have a genuine question here. The first question is, what happened to our space? You're killing me.
I'm ready to hop on right after this one if you want. I know I had a stream link and everything. I was ready. I was getting myself pretty. I was shaving my mustache. I was making sure I was looking ready for you, dude. So I'll hop on right after this if you want.
Well,
I don't know how long you guys go for.
It would be hard to figure out. We're on the same time zone doing the same show every single day. We don't get a lot of credit from you. I understand, because you're busy on the Pudgy side of things. So it's not clear that we're out here showing up every fucking day in the NFT space prior to even when you got into it, player. But that's all good. Like, it's all good, dude. Like, there's no heart, bad feelings your way. But, it's difficult at this point. So quick question. The starting point is, it sounds like after the defense, what's the next messaging? Are we going to switch from defense to offense? And what is the offense at this point when it comes to Pudgy? Is it just plow forward, or are we going to spend another week sort of discussing actually, here's my take. Why not just say, hey, I made some mistakes in the past. I learned through that process, but now we're building a legit business. And then you could have just hopped off stage. I feel like that would have been the way to address the whole thing, because a lot of people respect you in this space. But the more that you lean into catering to the negative past that someone's made, bro, I sold weed back in the day too. So props on that. We both sold weed, but I'll just acknowledge it and then be like, and now I'm here, running a world-class podcast business for 500 listeners. So
and you leveled up to now you're selling cocaine. You leveled up. That's what you do.
But I am serious with that question.
It's a great question, and honestly, I think it just comes down to my personality. I think I've just worked so hard to try to lead the charge on the right way, to do it the right way, that it really bothers me that there's a group of people out there trying to assassinate my character. And at the end of the day, I'm an open book. I'm not here to hide from this, and I don't want to brush it under the rug. I want everybody that respected me a week ago to respect me next week. And if you don't, and there's some sort of, accusation in your brain or some question that you have, I want to make sure that it's answered and that it's clarified. At the end of the day, I'm sure there's a bunch of people on the Pudgy team that would totally agree with you. And maybe that's the stance that I have to take. But I did 2 spaces when it happened. I spoke about it internally with the Inner Igloo. I'll maybe do another 1 or 2. Hopefully this will be the end of it. But I want to make it unequivocally clear. If you have a question regarding the situation and you have the opportunity to talk to me about it, and I'm on a space, I mean, there's nothing more that I would rather talk about than, being in the world's biggest retailer in the middle of the aisle, than being in a catalog that gets sent to 100 million people, or being in, the UK's biggest toy store, also a catalog that gets sent to 10 million people. There's nothing more I would rather do than talk about that, because I think this is a bunch of hokey pokey.
I genuinely have a question about that side of things, because that is the area that I've been most interested in, because no one's been talking about that side of things from the standpoint of, what is the quota that you have to hit? How close to a quota are you with that? Do you think a repurchase order will come from Walmart? And then the third part of that is can you actually sustainably deliver those products essentially on an ongoing basis? Is the goal that they keep repurchasing the exact same Pudgies, or do you have to introduce a new product set on a quarterly, semi-annual, or annual basis? That's kind of what
This is a great question. When Q4 is over, we would have shipped to Walmart 800,000 toy units. And if we can sell, when we sell, at least 75%, bare minimum 70, but it has to be 75% in my mind, sell through of those units, we will be in a situation where I think we are unequivocally Web3's first ever mass market brand. And if and when they reorder, it will be a bigger order, it will be in more stores, and it will be new SKUs, which I told the community yesterday that I have the intent in the next 7 to 10 days to license 50 to 100 Pudgy penguins for more toys to expand this toy line, because SKU saturation is real. What is the sell-through up until this point? We had an issue with them setting stores. So for the last 2 weeks, we've been in about 1,000 to 1,100 stores. And we just paid an agency like 25 grand to go in the back. If you're in retail, you know what I'm talking about. But one thing you can't control is store-wide execution. And the stores that we have been live in, the sell-through meets the expectation that is necessary to get that reorder. And so we have to continue on this path. The job's not done, because I basically have 4.5, 5 weeks to make sure that we meet that expectation and continue on this trajectory of, every day selling more and more units, which, by the way, the most promising statistic of this all is that, after the whole Web3 craze and the sweeping of the Walmarts, we've actually been able to see more traction in these later weeks than we were in those early weeks, which I think was super surprising to me. And what that is telling me is that our product at that price point, at that quality, with that character, is something that people are buying regardless of Web3. And that, I think, is the most powerful sign and signal that we've gotten since basically we've been live there. Obviously, we knew in the first 2 weeks, that might be a little skewed in the sense that I know Web3 came out and showed up, and I'm so grateful for everybody's support listening. If you went to your local Walmart or your local Smith's and you bought some Pudgy Penguin toys, just know I don't not only speak on behalf of the Pudgy Penguin community, but I think I speak on behalf of Web3. I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but this is not a moment for Pudgy. If and when Walmart succeeds in this program, it will open the door for anybody in the space that can tell a legitimate case as to why they should be in that store as well. And Pudgy Penguin will be the anchor, not only for Walmart and other retailers, but any big partner. I think when we succeed, you can go to any big partner and put us in your pitch deck and say, we are doing what these guys are doing. They had a blowout success in the world's biggest retailer, and this is why you should work with us, whether that's a Hulu or a Netflix or a Walmart or a Target or a major collaboration with a brand, the likes of which may be a shoe brand or a clothing brand. This, to me, when we succeed, it will jump this space 2 to 3 years forward on what it looks like to be the face of consumer-facing products, which for crypto, which ultimately I believe NFTs are. I think NFTs are and will be that product for this industry. And so that's the answer to that question.
I appreciate you giving some of those numbers. I'm curious. There's one follow on, and then I'll let Steve and Captain, you guys should have your space back. But and the other thing is, you should come on our space. You should have come on our space. I'm still debating. Like I'm going through an internal debate here because I feel slighted because I'm like, bro can't even acknowledge our existence. Like there's not even like. I understand you're busy. But we were out here trying to talk about the Walmart stuff was our focus, and Luca's out here still on defense, holding up shields. You're going to need to manufacture a plastic shield for kids to fight with, as well as a sword, so that and that can be the sword of Luca, which is the future product vision for you there. The last thing I was going to say about the toys. So you chose to go with what I feel like is an incredibly low priced product. You're in Walmart, who's known for aggressive negotiations on the price side, which I'm super curious about. But why choose, you're at the $8 price point? Does that leave and you don't need to share all of your margin stuff. You don't have to, but I am curious. Does that actually give you a potential for revenue, or is this right now saying, hey, we can even eat the margin on this as a marketing expense instead? And for now, our job is to get Pudgy into the hands of as many people as possible. It looks like he's gone.
That was, we'll see. I'm sure he'll be back. He went to your space and you're not there. No, I imagine he'll be back in a minute. But the point that you're making there, and by the way, full accountability on this one. I sent Luca a DM yesterday and kind of said the same sort of stuff where I'm like, you're welcome to stop by. We just want to address and go through so that you can be transparent about it. I don't want to you to be blindsided because people are going to talk about it on the stage. So sorry about stealing your guest. But your point, though.
Yo, we got some beef, dude. This just gonna go down in the streets. No, I'm just kidding.
We just need to stage something I don't know. But I don't know. You look tough in that music video where the guy was talking real low in the voice with the no sleeves. So I don't know if I want to mess with you there. But your point is actually really strong. By the way, I didn't tweet that. I had a couple of beverages and I saw that video and I'm like, that dude looks like Nick. And I'm like, I'm not going to tweet this because this is just going to get me. Who knows? And then you went out and got it yourself. But your point about Pudgy, which is really interesting strategically that Luca keeps bringing up, though, is first of all, I love that you're digging in on the business aspect, but also, something that we said a lot is every NFT project sells more NFTs, dilutes their collection, and that's the only way they raise money, which an NFT is a product, but it's not a super sustainable business. It keeps just printing NFTs without having to program back against them. Dude's making money by selling actual toys, which you have the choice to buy or not, and not diluting his collection while he actually creates a business and negotiates with real retailers. Biggest retailer in the world, which is online, and Walmart. Biggest retailer in America, which is Amazon. Biggest retailer in the world in person, which is Walmart, and of course, Smith's in the UK. So it's just he's brokering these deals with his background. So I think it's super interesting. We'll see if he's able to come back here as well. But
he ain't coming back. Bro can't defend it. The Luca shield is gone. Okay. He got plenty of opportunities. I will say this is just my own observation out of the whole situation. Luca seems like someone who learned from the streets, is pretty young and easily baited on some of these different things, who doesn't have a PR person, but he's also a master salesperson. But that got like focus on, he's basically the hands down best salesperson in all of Web3 at this point in time. And there's nobody else that can communicate as effectively. It's completely different to be selling when you're on the defensive, though. And that's it. Selling is an offensive sport. And I think that to be on the defensive, it's a completely different face that you have to show. And I think that's somewhere where, you know, youthfulness shows up with kind of what's gone on over this weekend and coming on. It seemed, and, you know, yeah, like I think that's really what the situation is at this moment in time. We need someone like Luca to succeed, though. Like that's the, like, I hope that we succeed in our own way as well. And that's what we show up every day for. But there's like 5 people left, basically, that are actively building anything. And even the NFT people are writing off NFTs at this point in time. So like, this is as bare as you can get in the situation. So like, I'm rooting for Luca to succeed, because there's very few people that have, you know, executed in this space. So that is my overall position, despite him backstabbing us over here.
Nick, I want to say first and foremost,
okay, I know who hopped in. I was going to say, like, real quick, my background's in, you know, PR.
Shit.
Yeah. So Steve, real quick, I don't know if you can hear me. This is Pio. Luca's now on our stage. We have a technical debacle happening.
No, it's all good. They can hear Luca now.
Okay, they can hear Luca now. Steve, Luca was chiming in. Why don't we go to him? By the way, this is a lot of fun doing.
This is a reverse collab, and we're improving this. The fact that we're streaming in there, I hope we can keep rolling with this. I'm gonna stay on your guys' stage if that's cool with y'all, and we can just
let's roll. This is incredible. I'm having a fucking blast. I'll let Luca get in there. Go ahead, Pio.
Go ahead, Luca.
No, sorry about it. I hit a dry spot in my house that basically made me rug, and I thought, okay, well, I should maybe hop into these guys' space. But I will say first and foremost, Nick, it sounds like I need to put the Nifty portal on retainer to help me with my PR. Two, you know, I do it because I guess listening to you, I probably shouldn't be doing it, but ultimately, again, I have nothing to hide, and so I'm going to show up wherever I can. But for the sakes of being a salesman, which I appreciate the kind words, I really hope everybody in this space has gone and supported Web3 at their local Walmart. It's not a moment for Pudgy Penguins, it's a moment for the entire industry. And I need everyone's support. We're giving it our all on the Web2 marketing side, I can tell you that.
Okay, Hotshot filled his cart. You know, I saw him. That dude went to Walmart and swept the floor.
He should do that, honestly.
Primer plushes.
Maybe he wouldn't be so angry if he had a cute little Pudgy Penguin plush. Because I don't know if you guys were on that space, but he was so incredibly angry at me.
No, it's just he hasn't had sex in 5 years, so it's been a situation for him. I think was the situation going on there. But those didn't come out of your mouth. That didn't come out of your mouth. That's out of my mouth. So I wanted to say, and honestly, I've been there. You know, I went years of my life without any sort of romantic interest whatsoever, Luca, and it was a really tough thing to deal with. And so I just think that it's important that people understand that I sympathize with that guy. But so we were getting the questions, and I want to give I don't know how to do this. Can I see the hand raise of Steve and Kat? If you guys have something that you guys want to ask, I want to, like, we are kind of collabing here, so I want to give both sides to.
Yeah, we went all like, honestly, like, we went all morning on this stuff, like, as far as like, and had similar takes, honestly, to you, as far as like salesman nature of it, the young nature of it, kind of that baited thing, and like similar to you, like, again, I was just gonna say my background's in PR, so I probably wouldn't have hopped. I would tell Lucas, I probably wouldn't have hopped straight onto that stage. I think he was trying to be on the offensive with the defensive, but I probably would have gotten an article out, taken my time, and then kind of moved through it. But I'll hand it over to you for now, Nick.
Cool.
Yeah, and go ahead, and I'll let you know if we got to hop in. I'll bump in.
So the question, the thing I am interested in following on is the Walmart side. I had asked a question about this, and you left right at that moment, which to me is understanding the product side of what you're issuing. And you just, I appreciate you sharing some of the data that you had there about sell-through rates and other aspects of that. The question that I had was the price point that you ended up positioning your product at is really cheap. I saw things as cheap as I think like $3 to $5 or something like that. Walmart is known to be incredibly aggressive negotiators. I'm interested in learning from hearing about that side. But before discussing just Walmart exclusively, the question I had is, are you anticipating that your approach right now to pricing is that you basically don't even need much margin involved in this, and that this is a marketing exercise? Is that kind of how you're thinking about it?
Man, you always ask amazing questions, and I'm grateful for your interviewing skills, Nick. I'll just let you know that because these are the right questions to ask. And the point of the matter is everybody looks at Pudgy toys like a revenue driver, and they are. They cover my burn, they cover my bottom line. But ultimately, what Pudgy toys really are, if I'm being honest, is they're really marketing for me. And it's a way to market our brand and to market our product without being invasive and without being intrusive. Right. And so from our perspective, the best thing that we can do from a product standpoint is get as many people in love with the Pudgy Penguin as possible. The more people that love the Pudgy Penguin, the better that our brand is going to be, and the better position we will be when NFTs come in the front and center and are the light of collectibles moving forward. And so you're right. Walmart is all about the best deal. So I have to make sure that they get the best price point, but you ultimately have to understand as well the purchasing behavior of the consumer in Walmart. 800,000 toys, Web3 and NFT space is not going to buy all those toys. So where is my competitive edge going to lie? It's going to lie 3 places. One, the real estate in which we have in Walmart, which gives us credibility and a viable place that I think is not to be underestimated in terms of walkthrough and presence. The second one is the cute Pudgy, accompanied with the price point. When you look at the value proposition of our toys on the shelf of Walmart and you compare it to everybody else's, our value proposition is just significantly better. If you take any toy in Walmart for $8.99, $4.99, $13.99, $3.99, whatever it may be, you will not find a toy with a better value proposition than ours. And so ultimately, I had to meet the Walmart consumer where they were. Web3 and NFT community maybe could buy 100,000 of these toys, maybe 150,000, maybe, God willing, 250,000 of these toys. But they were never going to sell out the entire thing. And so what was going to sell Walmart out? What was going to sell Walmart out was our price point, the product of our quality, and the cuteness of our character. Right? Accompanied with the real estate that they gave us. And so ultimately, that is the roadmap, right? The objective isn't to make the most money. The objective is to get as many toys in the hands of regular people that ultimately gets them to scan that QR code and make a blockchain wallet with nothing but an email and a password. And if they can do those things, then we would have, successfully accomplished the narrative of bringing people into our industry in some small capacity. Now, are they collecting NFTs and doing the whole 9 today? No. But you're getting them familiar and you're building trust around an industry and a brand in that industry that unfortunately has the worst stigma and the worst taboo narrative in terms of any industry that I've been a part of. And so the idea here is not to walk away and make millions of dollars. I brought this up and I just think it's kind of fascinating amidst everything that's transpired over the last couple of days. But during a bull run, we were seeing mints on the daily basis that make more money than what I was making, what I'm going to make off of Walmart, right? God forbid I've some malevolent evil character. If I wanted to make money, I'd probably just mint something. But that's not the case. The case here is, how do you get people familiar with the brand? How do you build trust and credibility around the Pudgy Penguin? And most importantly, how do you build an emotional attachment to an end consumer and a user that today there's basically nothing in the NFT space that dictates or warrants that deep emotional attachment outside of the financialization and maybe some community members that you've met. But if you can create this product, we've seen it with Disney, we've seen it with Hasbro and Mattel, dollars in enterprise value off of the backs of building an emotional attachment. And the one thing this industry has spent no time on and no focus on has been building an emotional attachment. And that's what we want to accomplish. And so that's what I think the positioning of Walmart does. That's kind of the angling of the toys and the price point, and ultimately what our end goal in this program and what we're trying to achieve.
I got one more question, and then there are hands in this other space. I don't know, guys, if we Pio and Clemente, if we have hands raised in our space, because I'm not looking at it, but let me know. I'm down to let some of the people in this other space ask questions, but I have one more question on this, which is, so what is the hurdle rate that, well, actually there were two parts of the Walmart thing. One is, what is the sell-through rate that's expected from there? Is it like 75%? Is it 50% that's required to get another order or restocked in the future? And then the second thing associated with that, what was the negotiating process like? Because that's like written about in well, it's taught in business school classrooms around the world, basically, about the negotiation process. I know that they moved a lot of that digital, but I'm wondering if you had to go through that sort of process with Walmart.
Yeah, so right now, our target sell-through to get a reorder is 75%. And if and when we achieve that, and we do get a reorder, I believe the announcement of the reorder is 10 times more impactful than the announcement of when we launched. Because it's one thing to get a deal, it's one thing to give it a shot, it's a completely other thing to see it follow through. And so if and when we get a reorder with Walmart and we're in more stores and, you know, present in a bigger capacity, I think that will unequivocally signal to the world and to the greater NFT and crypto universe that we have accomplished what I believe is to be crypto and blockchain and NFTs first ever mass market branded product. And so that is the goal. I have to sell out 75%. I have until the second week of November to do it. And then the rest is up for the universe to decide. Thankfully, you know, what I know unequivocally is I know by the end of the holiday season, all of those toys will be sold because I was strategic in how we did this, or I actually probably wasn't strategic in how we did this. Because to be frank, when Walmart says they want to do something, you do it. But the universe lined me up perfectly in the sense that it is Q4 and it is the holiday season. And if you're ever going to buy toys, it's right here. It's right now. It's not for you. It's for a friend or a family member, a son or a daughter, or a niece or a nephew. And so I know that there won't be any, you know, coming into January 1st, outside of a reorder, there will not be any more Pudgy Penguin toys available. And so we will know, we will distribute all 800,000 of those toys because that's just the nature of Walmart and the holiday season. And we have a good brand with good packaging and good product at a good price point that I think is ultimately going to reach that end goal. You asked the second question.
Yeah, what was the negotiation process with them? Did they just set the price, or like how did that go down?
The negotiation I think was tougher. I mean, look, I knew what this was going to do for Web3. I knew what this meant for NFTs. This was not just a moment for Pudgy Penguins. If it was just a moment for Pudgy Penguins, and I believe that, I might have not actually made this decision, but I knew what was happening, and I knew that at the end of the day, I needed to make this deal happen. And as long as I could make money, right, then, and it wasn't like a loss leader, like a complete loss leader, then I had to do this deal. And I know doing business with Walmart has to have the best price. It has to have the lowest price. It has to be, you know, positioned for them being the best deal. I mean, that's their narrative, right? They have the best deal out of any retailer in the country. And so it was typically in a negotiation process, you go back and forth. In this case, I was relatively at the mercy of Walmart because I'm conscious, and I did this in our Building in Public episode, I had no leverage here, really. I wanted this activation, and I am not, you know, off of the backs of a hit TV show or a hit movie show. I'm off of the backs of having one of the, you know, biggest NFT projects in the space that has 10,000 daily active users, that moves zero needle for them, right? And so though we have a great social presence and we have a great marketing presence, you know, those are not driving factors for Walmart. You know, every toy that you see stocked there is a legacy brand, with the exception of maybe one or two, you know, newer brands. But again, they don't get the activation that we do. And so typically in a negotiation, you have some leverage, and you lean on that leverage and you do the back and forth. In this situation, I had no leverage. And so what I did is, as long as the company didn't lose money doing it, because I have a responsibility to the partners and the investors to not just lose $1 million doing something. We make a good amount of money on this, but I think what's most important for me is optimizing, one, for the success of NFTs and for the success of Web3, and two, optimizing for an emotional attachment between our brand and holders and prospective holders, that they can now enjoy our brand, not only to themselves on Twitter when they're scrolling through night after work, but with their friends and family, which I think is really, really important. And so those were the two things that I was optimizing for. And it wasn't as deep as a negotiation as I typically would do. But I knew I wanted this program. I knew I wanted to be a part of this. It was an expectation that we set internally. It was on our roadmap. There was a big box on the back of a boat going to a building called Brave New World on our roadmap when we first took over. And I plan on fulfilling that expectation and fulfilling that promise for anybody who could see and read between the lines what that really meant. And so, yeah.
So last thing, and I don't know if Steve or Captain want to let any other questions. We can roll for another like 5 minutes or something like that. But the question here is, do they give you updates on what the sell-through rate is like up to where you're at right now? You've been in there for what, a week and a half or something like that. All of our commenters are saying is, and if you're willing to share, totally up to you. A, do they give you this data? And B, like how far through the process are you? It sounds like you're only in 50% of the 30 to 50% of the target stores anyways. So you couldn't be at higher than that rate if you sold 100%, I guess is the numbers that would make sense. But do they give you any of that?
Yeah, we get weekly updates, and I can get updates on a daily basis if I want. And so that stuff has a lot of clarity, and I have a lot of insights. Unfortunately, there's something I have to do better on making sure that I have my X's and O's covered on a store execution level. This is something that I was kind of clear about, but we're going above and beyond and paying an agency to go and set those pallets for those that haven't been set, to kind of set us up for success.
So on the sell-through, so it's giving you the aggregate. Do they give you on where those pallets are set up what the sell-through rate is right now?
Yeah. And any place that is set meets that expectation of a 75% sellout based on the stores that are set.
Okay, so that's awesome. So you're above the threshold, at least in the stores where they currently exist. Within a 2-week period, do they restock after that?
If it hits that benchmark, there is a extremely high probability that they do.
And does that come out of the 800,000, or is that for a new repurchase order?
That's a new purchase order.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you sharing all that information. That's very insightful. Actually, like you said, new purchase order. Does that come out of a future unit? So that's saying in the future we have a new product that we're going to sell here. So you're going to have to set up a complete new project essentially.
Yeah. So the idea is, and I told our community this, we're taking between 50 and 100 penguins, big pudgies and little pudgies, over the next 7 to 10 days, and we will be licensing them for basically chapter 2 of our toy line. And so the beauty about the success and the growth for Pudgy Penguin community members and NFT holders specifically is, as the Web 2 brand grows and succeeds, there becomes more opportunity to make more products. And as there comes more opportunity to make more products, I need more NFTs to make more toys or whatever those are, and I license those directly from the community.
Do you say what the split is for that, for the licensing? Is it like they get 10% of sales or something?
Yeah, I'm going to be more transparent on what that is. I can say today it is more than what I get paid in royalties, and it shakes out to be about 10 to 15% of net.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing all these details. So there were hands raised in this other space with you guys, Captain and Steve. Do you guys want to allow anyone to ask a question before we wrap?
Yeah, I want to throw down in a second here to Dow Jones from a holder perspective. I do want to ask Luca one follow-up question though related to what you're saying, because the retail aspect is really interesting to me and how you're approaching it. And I love the questions you're asking about it, Nick. One of the contentions we've had actually with NFTs is that, specifically these brands don't look at retail with that traditional mindset and don't look at things like sort of those planned holiday times. You mentioned sort of the holiday time coming up this year, but going into next year and beyond, is that going to be a core part of your strategy, whether it's a Valentine's Day or other moments in time to capitalize on sort of those retail holidays?
Sorry, you
Oh,
cut
something
out
better.
like halfway into that. I'm so sorry about that.
Got it. I was like, is part of your strategy moving forward on the retail aspect? Are you going to capitalize on some of those retail holidays beyond sort of the Christmas and the Hanukkah and the sort of holiday season there, like moving forward into next year and actually use those retail holidays as benchmark moments for, or tentpole moments for Pudgy Penguins?
Yeah, well, ultimately, for this to really, really succeed, we have to become an evergreen brand that sells throughout the year. But the nature of the penguin, the nature of penguins being associated with snow and the cold, as well as just the nature of the holiday season, 50% of the toy business is sold throughout these last 3 months. Obviously, these are going to be the months where we become, staples and anchors in the industry. But to really hit the velocity that I want to hit, we have to develop some sort of evergreen model where people are purchasing our products year round.
Got it. Let's I want to go to Dow Jones, and then I know the Nifty folks have got to jump, and we have to jump shortly after that. So we'll finish our hands here. We'll go Dow Jones, MLO, and then we're probably going to wrap from there because I got to get running as well. But Dow, go ahead and get in here.
Yeah, real quick, and I hate to bring it back to this, but just over everything, all of this as a holder's perspective came as a big surprise to me because Luca's done nothing but champion us as Pudgy Penguins. He's personally DM'd me, cold called me, just out of nowhere because he appreciated my actions for the brand. I just don't see nefarious actors kind of doing that. So just as a holder's perspective, they allow you with the gifts, championing yourself as the brand. They give you all of the brand Bible tools to kind of keep everything in line with their overall idea for the brand. So again, all of these actions that I see as a holder, it's just so far from what this quote unquote expose kind of came out to be. So just as a holder, I can't tell you how far from those words my true feelings as a Penguin are. So, the proof is in the pudding for me. I took a step back personally and I kind of evaluated that whole situation of it. So I just wanted to give Luca some credit on that at the end of the day, the actions you have shown towards holders of Penguins have kind of solidified my thoughts.
Love to hear it, Dow. Let's go to MLO real quick, and then we will wrap probably from there. MLO, go ahead and get in here. Thanks for your patience. You've been up here for like 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing to note is that I confronted Luca about this 3 months ago with regards to CNK World and a few of his other past projects within Web3, and this is not something he's been hiding at all. I ultimately moved past it because I think that Luca has brought a net positive to the space. He's been building in public, especially over the past year and a half. And I'm not defending Luca on any regards. I don't hold any Pudgy Penguins, but I do think that what he's built with regards to the community is very commendable. And I think that the Pudgy Penguins community is definitely one of the strongest communities that we have in NFTs. And I think that it's important that regardless of what happens with Luca, I think that the Pudgy Penguins community is going to stay strong. I think also that the way OK Hotshot did this was ridiculous. On the spaces the other day, he was muting Luca, he was muting other people. It was actually not a balanced conversation at all. And if you're gonna be reporting, you need to actually be ethical with how you report. And I don't think that OK Hotshot was doing it correctly.
So the takeaway I have from the two questions so far is nobody cares about the business of this, Luca, and everybody just cares about the drama associated with someone outing you for nefarious business actions. So moving forward, when we do spaces, that's all we're going to focus on. And I want to apologize in advance for just for the next week, us just saying this guy's just a complete fucking scammer. Okay, so that's where we're headed with our spaces. I think Captain and Steve are way more legitimate actors in this space. And so they'll probably do a more measured approach to it.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's to your point. This is one of those things where it's our goal here, though, is to to your point. I mean, our goal here is to, bring people on stage, let them sort of answer from their perspective in a way that isn't sort of attacking. I think MLO, you kind of hit on it very strongly there, which is I did listen to that space, and it's hard when you're listening to people who are we talked about it earlier. They're debating how people are using the fucking word semantics for 10 minutes, and we're just this is not getting us anywhere towards what was said and written. To your point, like I asked, did he reach out to Luca beforehand? He did not. So that's not exactly the best practice. But all that considered, like, appreciate Luca's time this morning. Really appreciate the Nifty folks for showing up. And again, I generally spend, I mean, I wrote a 200-page Quota, 200-page book on NFT business, which comes out in January. So to me, like, the business aspect is the most interesting part to me. And I like having those conversations. So I'm really glad they came on and brought some of that flavor today, because that part is extremely interesting to me. That said, I want to thank everyone for coming by this morning. I know we're a little past the 10:30 hour here, and we usually wrap. This is fucking fun, man. Like, this was so fun to have the Nifty folks run through.
Yeah, this was a ton of fun, Steven. And look, this is Pio. I just wanted to like add one thing in here. This isn't even it's applicable here, but it might sound bad, but just actually think about it for a second, right? We've seen this in the NFT space so many times at this point. The fact, and I think I might have a little echo, but bear with me if you can hear what I'm saying. I don't know how bad the echo is.
Nothing on our end, nothing on my end.
Okay, cool. But what I was going to say is the way that NFTs are set up, where somebody will basically buy this NFT, the number one thing that the NFT holder cares about is the price going up. Like, obviously, you're kidding yourself if you think that there's anything else. It's literally just price, right? That, like, if you're just going to be brutal about it, if you're going to go no BS, strip it all the way down, it's, you know, questions are usually, if someone asks a question about an NFT project, the question is usually, when is the price going to go up? Even if they use different language, right? The thing that it creates is, anything like if the founder of an NFT collection, and I won't even name names of other collections, but obviously we've seen this in the past, anything short of literally like murdering someone or some heinous crime will ultimately not impact the project long term, because the holders are invested in having the NFTs and they want the price to go up. So obviously that is not comparable to what we're talking about here. That's what I was saying. You have to kind of interpret what I'm saying. But the point is, we've already seen this before. Look at Azuki, right? No matter what, the holders are this like perma champion of the project, and that moat is really, really strong. By the same token, I think the holders would trade the founder's life for 1,000x. I literally think they would if they could press a button and be like, yeah, you get 1,000x in exchange for the founder's life. I know Luca ain't ever going to say that publicly, but I just, every once in a while, really like to kind of put that brutal reality out there for people to understand, because I think it helps frame up some of the stuff that we're talking about. Having said that, I really enjoyed this conversation. I love the deep dives on business. I saw comments that were like, what are we talking about here? My response was, we're talking about the ins and outs of the business that Luca's running, which every NFT project, if it's going to actually exist in 4 years, has to be a business. So in my opinion, the thing that Luca did best is Luca went and he said, he's making a business, you know, crazy idea, right? Because before this, and I've said this on our show, so forgive me if I'm repeating myself, but before this, it was bad to build a business because that meant that the NFT holders were customers, and that's bad, right? But what Luca did, the big breakthrough in my mind, is Luca's like, I'm building a business, and here's why that's good. And the audience actually accepted it, right? The broad NFT audience and the people that hold Pudgy Penguins accepted it. And for me, that's like this watershed moment where it's like, yes, these things have to be a business. Luca figured out how to communicate that properly. Home run in my book. So my hat is tipped to Luca on that. Mentioned that on the show before. But yeah, every once in a while, I just try to be brutal about the realities of this industry and just put things into perspective, because I do think a lot of BS gets flung around, not only by founders, but by the holders. The holders act like they want something. At the end of the day, they want the price to go up. That's the reality of it, right? So I just like to be real about it and put things in perspective for people, because I don't hear that talked about a lot. Love your show, by the way, Steve. I think your presence as a host is phenomenal. Same to you, Captain. And I've said that for a long time. Really appreciate you sharing the stage with us today.
Appreciate all of you.
Yeah, and appreciate the hell out of both of you for jumping through, and all of y'all jumping through in the cross show. Like I said, ton of fun. Agree with you. It's funny, like, you know, for so often we would have people on the stage who would say, what does this sale in Walmart do for the holders? And the people who were never saying that were the holders, right? Like they kind of had this perspective. It was always someone who wasn't holding who would be asking those questions. So your point about driving that business, and again, like totally aligned with you on the point where when you have a financial investment in something and you have an identity tied to something, it's going to change how you react to it. I make the analogy where it's like, if you rent a house, you're not going to upgrade the kitchen. If you buy a house, you want to enjoy that kitchen and you want to increase the value of it. And people are going to continue to push for their NFT brands to be really good because they have an investment in both financially and emotionally from an identity and a community perspective. So I think you're spot on with that. And, agree with you. Like, we need to see real businesses being built. It's the question we constantly ask. Businesses, product market fit. And I see when you look at it, it is a classic sales funnel with Pudgy where they started with, Von Frunten's been up on the stage and talked about, look, top funnel, they did the awareness with sort of the gifts, things like that, the social building. Then they worked their way down to consideration, ultimately purchase and loyalty. And there's been it's been really interesting to watch being built in public. So I agree with you on that. I'm glad that we got to discuss, and I'll look forward to Luca's article, which kind of addresses everything that was brought up over the weekend. People can make their own decisions, but I am glad that we got down a business conversation as well, and that y'all crashed through, because it's always fun, and appreciate everybody out there who's listening in. But I guess that said, we'll let everyone else go off to our day. I know we're a little over for both of us, but this is really fucking fun. Respect the hell out of Nick Pio and that whole team over at the Nifty. They're just, they do a great job at Nifty Portal. They really do. And it's something I used to listen to before I ever did this show. I'd walk my dog. I'd listen to the show very regularly. So, appreciate y'all. Always good having the folks stop by.
Peace out, y'all.
Yeah, appreciate it. With that said, we'll let everybody sail off.
All right, so we just wrapped that. Well, that was a fun experience to combine those stages. Appreciate everybody joining. Is there anything else we want to wrap with?
I think we've said.
I think we're good
today, amigo. I think we're good today. I want to. Well, real quick, Luca's coming back, and this is just us and Luca right now. Luca, if there's obviously you've already heard from Nick, and Nick is what I always tell people. People ask me how Nick is doing when they haven't talked to me in a little while, and my response is always Nick is Nick. And I've never not had the person that I say that to understand exactly what I was talking about, which I love. But Luca, I'm personally irked that you didn't come on video, because I went out of my way to be like, yo, you got to come on video. You said you were video ready. I was like, I can't wait. So that is one thing that I'm irked about, buddy.
I was video ready, and then I just got I got caught in the title. I had to hop in there, and so I deeply apologize. I was in the middle of shaving my mustache for you, so I was giving it my best shot.
Well, next time. Thank you for joining the show. I know it's probably been a wild few days. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and appreciate you sharing these numbers. I've been dying to understand the business side of this, and would love to discuss that even more as you progress with it. So feel free to come back and we can discuss some of those things.
I have every intention of coming back when this thing is an unequivocal success, and we're moving into bigger and broader territory. So I appreciate you guys for having me on. And Nick, thanks for some of that advice. I definitely might need to pick your brain on the side. And
I'm down to help. I've been around for a long time.
He's old, Luca.
I'm 41 years old, dude. So I've been in the media space for a long time. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Appreciate you, boss. And I appreciate you guys for having me on.
Of course, you can't say LucaNetz is not confident, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, that's our show today. Wild ride today. Didn't expect it to play out that way. Big props to Nick for carrying the lion's share of the show this morning. Normally, I would be mentally drained coming out of something like this, but I'm feeling vibrant. I didn't have to really do anything. I was just pressing buttons on a mixer. I'm sure Nick is tired, so he's going to have to take a nap because he's old. Anyway,
I'm good, dude.
he's charged up. He was doing some egg-based cocaine during the show. I kind of saw it. Yeah, people were commenting on his boiled eggs. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if it's your first time listening, which actually on a day like today, it may be some of your first time listening. We do this show Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, right here on Twitter Spaces. Video feed is available on YouTube. We also do a video stream to Twitter. Also available on Apple and Spotify podcasts if you want to listen to this mobilely, and if you like that user interface better. Also, if you want to share the show with somebody outside of the Twitter bubble, then Apple and Spotify podcast is a great way to do it. Anyway, we will be back tomorrow.